Hello, all, and welcome to our Digimon episode and our holiday special. Sorry for the delay in between last episode. We had a team member go down sick, but we're back and ready to go. Hope you all enjoy, and as always, everyone, take it away.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sean with the Glimmer Gang, and I hope you guys all had an amazing holiday break. We're coming back to you with the second part or second half of our holiday special. This is episode 4, I believe, if memory serves. We're going to be talking about the Digimon TCG today. This is a game that I've been playing for about a year now, and I've been trying to take it competitively. So, let's take a look. One of the biggest things that sets Digimon apart from the other TCGs out there right now is their resource system, or the memory gauge system that they use, which is heavily influenced by the Chrono Clash system. I know it's not exactly the same, but they're very, very similar. That was designed by Ryan Miller. I'm a big fanboy of that gentleman. Everybody knows that around here. And I love it. I love the memory system. It is another level of complexity for me in a game where what I play directly affects what you can play. And I like that aspect of it. It can lead to some problems, like a lot of people don't like memory choke and some of the other strategies that you employ because of that. But, you take the good with the bad. A turn in Digimon can basically be broken down into 4-ish sections. You have your the beginning phase. I don't think that's exactly what it's called, but you unsuspend your Digimon or Tamers. Then you can draw your card, and then you move to the breeding phase, which you can either hatch an egg into an open space in your breeding area, or you can move a level 3 or above Digimon from your breeding area to the battle area. And then you enter your main phase. Your main phase is essentially where you do everything that you do in Digimon other than unsuspending, drawing, and breeding. That's everything else. You play options, which are like the spell type cards of the game. Tamers, which are they function similarly to enchantments in Magic the Gathering. They're usually global effects, or if this happens, do this on the beginning of your turn, or a variation of that. A lot of them are memory setters, and they'll help you with if your opponent's trying to memory choke you. Another key feature of the Digimon TCG is that there is almost no interaction on each other's turns. You basically, once the memory gauge flips over to your opponent's side, it's their turn, and unless you have very specific abilities, you can no longer do anything once it's their turn, and vice versa. Some of the avenues that you have competitively for Digimon are the Ultimate Cups, or what there used to be called was the Evolution Cups, I believe. And those are mainly online based webcam tournaments that are kind of enclosed events. You're not like shooting for an invitation for any championships or nationals, I don't believe. And it's mainly for prizing and competitive, and just the actual competitive, aspect of the game. So another avenue that you have when you play competitive Digimon is DC1, which you purchase the participation set, which I believe run about $30, and that gives you access to the DC1 event. And then you usually play for promos, and they all usually follow a theme. Like the last one I saw, I believe, was mostly Guilmon and Guilmon line cards, but they were all special stamped and promo versions, stuff like that. Then you also have local championships and regional championships, which that's how you earn your invite to the big show. That's the course you can go on if you want to go to nationals. So at your local store championships, your store has to have at least 8 players, and one winner, the top person, they get an invite to nationals. So you don't even have to go to a regionals, but you also have that avenue. So regionals are held over webcam and in person, and those are also usually a lot bigger events and usually a lot harder to place. But you also get an invite for being in the top 16 instead of just being in the top first. Then, of course, you have the national championship, which you're playing against the best of the best. You're playing for bragging rights and usually monetary gain at that level of play, not just winning product, so on and so forth. Another thing I wanted to touch on about this game, as of right now, it is a one non-rotating format game. Anything you guys would like to see or not to see from Digimon in Lorcana?
I definitely wouldn't not want to see like that one non-rotating format thing. I definitely think that is something that will not bode well. I think with having younger players or like just even trying to introduce new players, because if we want to make this game super inclusive to everybody else that wants to join like 2-3 years in the future, if they have to come back and go through all these cards and find out what's good, I don't think that's beneficial to the game. I think that's why Pokemon rotating it does really well. That's something I wouldn't want to see. And then I think like they do a pretty good job with webcam, I think. And if they can bring that to uh Lorcana and have a good webcam series, so like those people that can't travel can still play and be competitive, I think that is something that would be really cool as well.
Yeah, for sure. And on the webcam front, like not even people that can't travel, but even just people that don't have a presence or can't build a local meta, it still gives them the opportunity to, participate.
Yeah, I will add on the format though. I do feel like they are kind of setting themselves up. I'm talking about Lorcana here, that they're setting themselves up for a rotating mat format, especially with. I don't know if it'll be like this for every set, but it does kind of make sense to be like, hey, this format we are using chapters 1 through 4. And even then, with the story that they say that they're trying to tell, it makes sense to use the characters from this story, from this arc of the story, and it would not make sense to have the second arc and be like, hey, you can still use these characters from the first arc.
Yeah. As for some other things I'd like to see and not see from Digimon, the memory system is pretty cool. So I'd like to see maybe not the exact or even something similar, but just the fact that it's a consistent resource that is there, and it's not something tied to the deck or anything else like that, is super important, and it makes the game much more consistent and does add that extra layer of depth that Sean was talking about, which is pretty cool. And some things that I would like to not see is, I know that there were some issues with really, really hot in high demand cards being like box toppers or other unique promos that were very expensive and hard to get a hold of because there just weren't a lot of them. And they were really, really good for certain decks that were competitive at the time. And so I definitely don't want to see that. And I think we've talked about that consistently across any game that has had a system such as that, where we need to make sure that all the games or all the playable cards are accessible. And that goes into that rotating format and non-eternal format, because in an eternal format, the cards aren't accessible after the first couple years.
Unless by some miracle you have a TCG that understands reprints are a necessity, which never happens.
And even then, even they do reprints. Like Digimon has a reprint coming up in a couple years or in next year, something like that. But even then, that's like it's taken them a couple years, so it's still been hard to get a hold of. Year one stuff. What, 3 years down the line now we've been something like that.
Yeah, another thing that Digimon does not do well, and it goes right along with what you're saying, is they have certain promos that we just don't have at all in English. Like they have promos that have come out in Japan for the game that we literally just don't have. So that's not cool either, in my opinion. Like why create a card for a game but not for every language of that game? That's just really it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. You know what I mean? And I hope we don't see stuff like that in Lorcana, even though I know it's being printed natively here in uh, by Ravensburger North America. I know that, but like I don't want to see that done to other countries either. I don't want to see like Europe get shafted out of stuff that we have. You know what I mean? I would hate to see anybody see it to do that.
Yeah, and I was watching something the other day, and I guess it's just something that's just more accepted on that side of the world. And they had like a gameplay unique card, and I was like a high tier card that came in a magazine subscription. Like what? Like what?
Well, I also know like Lorcana has said like all of their promos are gonna be from the sets. So like maybe it'll be harder for collectors to get them, but for players and a competitive standpoint, we shouldn't have to worry that much about that. I don't think.
Yeah, I couldn't care what art is on the card as long as the rules are the same. Like, I could not care less what art is on the card. Unless it's full art.
Thanks everybody for coming out and taking part in our Digimon episode today. I hope you all have a great one. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to episode 4, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We have 2 more left for y'all, so be on the lookout for those in the next few days. Thanks, and Glimmer on.